Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, good day to all the free enterprise fans around the world, and welcome to the Music Appreciation Club, featuring tonight some fantastic moments in solo history from folks like Ringo Starr, and a saxophone, and a spoon, and Invent, and Scythe Marshall. Well, my name's Possum, and I'm joined by Warlink here in the booth. Warlink, how you doing this evening?
Well, I came into the booth expecting buttons, but it's been all eaten up and we've been replaced by a mic. So I'm a little bit confused, but I'm doing all right for today. Thanks for asking.
Buttons are tasty, my friend. I'm slowly convincing everybody how this all actually works. But y'all are, not learning as quickly as I'd like, so I'm gonna have to ramp it up a notch and just take all the buttons away. So Dave, our tracker tonight, has the easiest job because he won't be pressing any. No, I'm kidding, y'all. Uh, Dave on tracking, Asuka doing the restream. Thank you to both of them behind the scenes doing the hard work. Uh, like we said, this is the Music Appreciation Club. So naturally, we got a bard. And this is a hero bard, and everybody loves a hero bard.
Yes, with C Hero on, our Edward as our starting character is our hero for the seat. There's only one Edward, and he has some special stuff going on with him. There's only one copy of him. When you forge at Coco, you get a GBA weapon for him, which is either the Apollo harp, the Loki harp, or the Requiem harp. When you go out ordeals, he has to fight the mirror room by himself. So hopefully, there's anything too nasty for him to deal with that. And typically, on C Hero stuff, he's the anchor. However, Vanilla Agility is turned on. And Possum, can you help explain why this is unique in this situation?
I sure can. Vanilla Agility has an interesting little interaction with C Hero, where normally your hero is going to be your air quote anchor, or the person driving your party's agility, much like Cecil did in the vanilla game. However, when vanilla agility is on in conjunction with hero, vanilla agility takes precedence, which means if Cecil is in your party, he is your agility anchor, even over your hero. If he's not in your party, simply put, the center slot character is then going to be your anchor, or a person that agility is working around. So it's a neat little interaction. It's a little bit counterintuitive sometimes. So, we always like to explain that. And I appreciate you pointing that out, Warlink, as it does make a huge impact. But speaking of things that make huge impacts, we have our runners getting going. They're starting in Baron, and based on the objectives, they may be finishing in Baron. But we have a very strong character joining. We have a Palom, we have a Moonveil, a Coffin, an Artemis bow, mute arrows, and most importantly, that there Darkness Crystal. That is going to unlock potentially a gated character right off the bat. Warlink, are you going right to the moon to beat that character, or would you do some looting first to maybe afford the shop up there as well?
For me, since we have seen Neki turn on, I kind of like to pick the character just in case there's probably another character that's useful being not having good weapons on, like for example Sid or a Yang, because since Yang doesn't need weapons equipment and Sid is good with the bow and arrows kit with that. So me personally, I'll go up, check the moon character just to see what's up there, check the shop, and then come back down and probably loot Evan Castle just to jumpstart the party and then continue on with my boss hunts.
Yeah, absolutely. And looks like we get another important little bit of information from the free key item, Bedward, giving us a package. So we have a package and we have a Darkness Crystal, two gated characters potentially open right away. That could be an Edge, could be a Kane, could be, even like a Sid could really be helpful early on to get this party started. Sid having a ton of early strength can really pair well with an Artemis bow.
Yeah, there are some characters for a package like you might sit through. One of them, since one of them on a normal situation, if there was a edge right there, you definitely sit through there. But with C Neki, Edge is really nerfed. So basically, do you want to sit through a package for an Edge with really just only like a claw or something, some sort of claw, and doesn't have punch really attack really well? So it's one of those, and we have no boss hunts on as the objective. So it's one of those things that it's one of those things that we're not going to touch the package if the character is not a good one to take right away.
Yeah, it definitely makes sense. And also with no boss hunts on, the package has a little bit less value even there. We did see the Moon Shop pretty much a bust. Tents and bombs, not really what you want on the Moon Shop. I guess camping gear is nice, but that's not it. That's not what Inven was looking for, making this Moon play right away. We'll see if he is rewarded with a functional character to really help get things going. And that is that Sid. Sid has a great bit of strength, like we talked about. Pairing him with that Artemis bow, that is really going to let this party fly early on and clear some of the early checks. So
Yeah,
that Sid pickup is huge.
yeah, and with that huge pool of HP, he can take a lot of hits even without not much gears. So he's really good addition to the team for this point of the seed.
Yeah, absolutely. And the 10 agility that the Artemis bow grants Sid will actually get him an extra multiplier as well for his physical attacks combined with his strength. So right away, Artemis bow Mute Arrow Sid probably can solo Hobbs, Antlion, Fabool, Baron in, basically until he runs out of arrows. Everything should be getting pew-pewed to death by Sid in particular. We'll see how Inven opts to do things here, but looks like we have him organizing his party from what will be fastest to slowest, and we do see the Artemis bow and Mute Arrows, as expected, going on that Sid, and off he goes up Hobbs.
Yeah, and just a quick mention, we haven't talked about the objectives. We have four of them today. We have to complete all four. As Envin decides to take the gang and fight Vigan, we have Cave Magnus, do the Forge, defeat the bosses of Baron Inn, and liberate Baron Castle. Out of this four, you can do Baron Inn at any time, since that's basically, you just walk in, do 2 bosses, and that's the objective. So we're basically at five key items to find for go mode, since we already have the darkness and just need 5 additional key items.
Yeah, the Darkness Crystal pickup definitely is a big one. It opens up a ton of key item checks as well, with K Main, Summon, and Moon all being on. So that's a lot of options for our runners. Not immediately seeing something like a Tella definitely makes it nice in a sense for the runners that they're going to have some decisions to be made. As we see Scythe Marshal, who has decided to also pick up that Sid, and Inven burned both of his blizzards there. Looks like he fell just shy using the first one, so a little bit of a struggle there as far as AOE items now, but should be able to recuperate some of that from having Palom online now.
Yeah, burning those J items early might hurt him a little bit later, because, like I mentioned, if you decide to go to Ardeos, Edward has to face the mirror fight by himself, and if you face a boss that has multi-targets, Edward doesn't have anything in his arsenal to deal with that. So you have, so J items are a way to get around with that. So burning both blizzards just to get through that bargain might be useful right now, but it might come back to haunt him if, say, dolls show up in the mirror room and you have to either decide to sit through that whole fight just to get a Tell online and Paladin Cecil, or if it doesn't give a key item, just nope out and say, I'm not dealing with this. If I find Sid, Cecil, or Tella, they're not in my party.
Yeah, absolutely. And looks like we have Scythe Marshal, who has turned encounters on in Cave Bahamut, looking for a specific fight. I wonder if he's looking for a solo Warlock to try to get some XP on his party. Has picked up 2 tier 6 items from Cave Value so far, an apple and a Protect Ring, which is quite interesting. That's a lot of high tier items right away. but looks like he's not finding the encounter he's looking for. Meanwhile, Inven went through and looted Damsian basement, picked up a Murasame there, and has found himself with a gauntlet in Antlion Cave. That is fairly awkward. The bombs will do a little bit of damage here. Kick will help, but this is a super awkward gauntlet to find early on.
Yeah, with this information that we know, when the season started, when the received the starting key item in the kits, it was also a blue rope. So we know for sure that at the biting spot, that's water hag. So we don't have to worry about the all gauntlet there with Senator Crocodile and his super pact telling you to re-elect him for election. You just have to deal with water hag, 3 punches, and he's down.
Yeah, I think Senator Crocodile has sent his employees or his folks, or whatever you want to call them, out on the road to go ahead and do some campaigning on his behalf. Unfortunately, the campaign is not going too well for the looks of it down here in Antlion Cave. But meanwhile, Scythe Marshal has an interesting discovery in Cave Bahamut, and that is, well, Bahamut. Technically a free fight, will cost a Star Veil or 2, but this is technically doable, I think. I don't know how long the Veils are going to last, but we'll see if Scythe can get through it. I like the play.
Yeah, it's a free fight with Star Veils. It's like you said with Star Veils, this is free, but it depends on how long that Star Veil lasts. If you get through 2 Mega Nukes, it could, I don't know the calculation on top of my head, but it can, that's probably enough to take down the Bahamut at these levels.
Yeah, it's actually going to require 4 Mega Nukes, which is super awkward, because I don't know that the Veils are going to last all 4, so we'll see if Scythe is able to get through it. But meanwhile, Inven picks up another piece of vanilla here. That is a vanilla Sand Ruby. That is a 3rd gated character to be checked. So far, we have ended up with what, Sid and an unknown package character. But we may see that Sand Ruby checked, and I wonder if we'll get a package peek at some point as well. Well, it looks like we have Inven going through and taking a look at the Sand Ruby character, and it is a Tella. So we have Tella and a Darkness Crystal early. So if our runners so choose, they do have a grind available to them, which is huge news to be able to go through and get the party powered up and be able to really cruise through the seed and see who is going to be the most efficient with a full power team should they opt to go that route. Meanwhile, Scythe Marshal finds a Masamune at the Value Cave location. So not a key item, but it is a nice find. If there's no edge, they'll definitely be able to sell that for some good money.
Yeah, to bring back the point with Tella, yes, with the Tella and the Darkness Crystal, a D Machine grind is open. However, there is one additional flag that's added to this flag set, which is Vanilla Giant. So, which that means if you go to the Giant, you're basically stuck up there until you have to go through both the bosses at the Element and the CPU spot to get outside the Giant. So basically, if you decided to go D Machine right now, you have to commit through 2 additional bosses, and with, like we mentioned, with no boss hunts up there, do you really want to go up there to D-Money now and do 2 more bosses, or hopefully find another source of grind somewhere else in the scene?
Yeah, it's always an interesting question, especially if there's like a rude hook route, for example. Do you recoup the time from doing it, It's tough to say. Also, in order to be able to get that on the table to even be done, you have to go through and complete mount ordeals, as chat is pointing out. And that requires you to get through ordeals with that solo Edward. Worth noting, Inven did find black belts and bandanas in the same shop, picked up a pair of each, also picking up a Thunderclaw. So starting to kit out his characters. But on Scythe Marshall's side, excuse me, we see a D-Mist, which is not anything special in this seed, but we do see an edge, which I would classify as something special.
Yeah, and since Scythe Marshall did went through that Bahamut and get that Must's blade out of that, once he got that edge, he has a good weapon on him. So basically, he's basically you can mill slot him and just go through the whole overworld with no problem.
Yeah, and worth noting as well, if Scythe Marshall loots Damsian Basement, he will also end up with a Murasame out of there. So there's the potential for Muramasa for our runners just sitting out there available, which would be pretty darn huge. And we see Inven peeking the package. It is a cane, and Inven says, I will see you never. And says no, and leaves, and it looks like is off to defend Fabul, while Scythe Marshall has decided to have Mylon talk about his body, and we're done with the Mylon fight, picking up that edge and being rewarded with a Baron key. So that is now just the Twin Harp and Forge needed for our runners, as that vanilla Baron key shows up. More vanilla.
If I kept, if I may count so far, I believe that's 3 scoops of vanilla ice cream.
I think 4. But yeah, it's a lot already for being this young in a seed. But the thing about that is, once vanilla starts happening, vanilla keeps happening. That's just how these things trend. Looks like we see strength rings floating around in Baron, and Scythe Marshall opts to buy one. And it looks like Inven has found those dolls that you talked about. So this is kind of that awkward situation where not having those blizzards in this exact situation comes back a little bit to haunt him.
Yeah, and that makes it a little bit easier for him, saying this won't be up in ordeals if I decide to go up there to power up this Telos. So that's another boss off the table to eliminate a possible multi-target boss.
Yeah, absolutely. And looks like we have Scythe Marshall going through and looting some in the Baron waterway, is making his way through Baron, chasing his objectives, finds a white spear, and Inven picks up a rat tail from the Fabul defense. So we'll probably see Inven either go to Baron or Ordeals after this, I have to imagine. But Scythe Marshall looks like he is just gung-ho for those objectives right now, which makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, the common adage is basically do your objectives, do your freebies, and basically with that edge already equipped with some pretty decent weapons, and knowing that no, he hasn't done Antlion yet, so he doesn't know that was Waterhag. So he would be pleased that once he goes to the buying spot and saw that Waterhag is like, oh good, this is going to be an easy spot, and hopefully whoever's sitting on the Baron Throw won't punish him to come in here this early.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's going to be interesting to see, the directions that our runners go. Because I think they both have different ideas of where they want to take this. And it looks like Inven wants to take this party straight up Ordeals and, get the rest of possibly his levels, get his grind on. Whatever it is he wants to do, the world will pretty much be his oyster once he's through Mount Ordeals. Whereas Scythe Marshall is playing in a much more linear sense of, kind of taking what's in front of him and doing a little bit less in the way of kind of planning for the future, a little bit less in the way of looting, um, and just taking the checks that are there. So two very divergent strategies so far. Also, Invent has a full party of five, and Scythe does not, but is prepared with Quake, with Flame, for a gauntlet, but is going to be rewarded, if you will, with that water pack.
Yes, and I believe I'm going through the spots in my head, and I believe both. We haven't found our underground access yet, and we're down to two places, which is either at Baron Throw, where Scythe Marshal is at, and Ordeals, where Infinite is at. So basically, after these battles, after these battles, we will know for sure which path we're going to take to underground. Are we going to take the easy route of going through the magnet route, or is we're forced to go through the hook, which gives you another character and go through probably anything down there that may or may not be rude.
Yeah, absolutely. And as our tracker is pointing out, I was thinking the same thing that one of these could give the harp and the other could give the earth crystal, which would be hilarious. It's the only way in which we still wouldn't know, which would be great drama, of course. It's very unlikely that that happens, but would be pretty funny. It looks like Scythe Marshal has stumbled across Asura, which is kind of awkward here without any sort of mute equipment or mage mashing. Probably can just Quake and Dart Scythe Asura down here. Oh, it does have the Elven Bow or Artemis Bow and Mute Arrows, that's right. So we'll be able to do a ton of damage. But meanwhile, Invent does get through back attack Ogo Pogo. Not particularly fun as far as a fight goes, but was able to make pretty decent time on it.
And Scythe Marshal made it through Asura, and Invent's going back, rearranging his party, looks like putting Edward in the middle, put bow and arrows on him to make sure he deals the best damage out of that. And in a few minutes, we will find out which path will lead us to underground.
Yeah, and also looks like we find I believe that was a Rosa on Sight's side. That's a very nice pickup. That's the best white mage in the game, in my opinion. So huge pickup for Scythe. Party really coming together there. And Inven picks up the hook. So if we are on a hook route, that's going to be very interesting as well, and may push our runners towards doing some sort of grind if it's particularly rude. Just a Mylon Zeef hanging out in the third room of ordeals, if you will, or the changing room. So not really much of a concern there, but we do get a pan from Baron. Could represent some more in the way of key items as well once our runners get underground.
Also to note, Envid also has the rat tail, so he could, when he pick up the hovercraft, he might swing over to the adamant grotto, turn that in to see if that's another key item, or for some weird situation, that gives the magma key, and it's like, oh, I don't have to do the hook route anymore, and I just drop this key down the well, and boom, I'm underground.
Yeah, absolutely. A magma key would be nice just from a speed perspective for our runners. It would also almost certainly kill off any temptation to do an early grind using either Mac Giants or D Machines. So I think that would be a very interesting plot twist, if you will, to have a magma key show up via that rat tail. I think with the party strength, especially on Scythe Marshal's side, I don't think you're likely to see any sort of big grind. Having Quake on the kid already and having him Masa for Edge, I think we're pretty safe that we're not going to see any big grinds there. On Inven's side, still could happen, but picking up this Edge, he also has a Mura from that Damsian basement. So I think that both runners are going to be incentivized to just wait till 10 key items based on how this seed is tracked.
Yes, and I don't recall if I think I saw a dwarf axe somewhere. So agility using Sid as an anchor could make the hook route a little bit more bearable to make Sid as the anchor, and Edge and Edward probably be fast enough to attack on that stuff, and also you like you said with power with Quake, and poke route might be doable with this party composition and with these levels. Just delay the possible grind if you pick up that find that tele and do the grind up the giant if you want to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And meanwhile, all that talk about grinding is going on. Scythe Marshal getting a mini grind here with his gauntlet in the Antlion Cave. Probably not the grind he was looking for, though. But it is a nice place to have that gauntlet out of the way. It's very easy, very free. So if you have to do it, you might as well have that gauntlet be there. It's about as simple as things get. So both runners picking up the respective key items: Sand Ruby from Antlion, the Baron Key from the Baron Inn. Inven says goodbye to Yang, wants that edge instead, and going to carry on likely through Baron Castle at this point, while I expect Scythe Marshal probably going to head to Ordeals sooner than later. And looks like Scythe Marshal actually going to head to Fabul. Didn't realize that wasn't complete yet for Scythe Marshal, but definitely makes a lot of sense. We'll head on to Fabul and then probably up Ordeals after that. And both runners going to be very close as far as everything that they've cleared on the overworld, and both doing it very quickly. So shout outs to both Inven and Scythe Marshal, putting on a great show so far, showing off some very skillful play here to get through everything very rapidly.
Yeah, right now they're just basically retracing each steps. Edmund can basically go underground at any time, but since Baron is an objective, basically do your objectives, and that gave a Baron Key. It's like, oh, chase that to knock that out of the park, so we don't have to worry about that, and hopefully find any potential key items that helps out later on in the siege. So don't I kind of agree with his thinking at this moment.
Yeah, it definitely makes sense on both runners' sides, to go through and just complete those overworld checks, their Sphere 0 or Sphere 1 checks, where they either don't need a key item or only need one key item to access things, especially when they're objectives. Also, I see a curse ring on Scythe Marshal's side. I did not see that where that was picked up, but that cursed ring is pretty huge. All things considered, that gives him a ton of flexibility on who he wants to anchor with, where Inven is probably beholden to that Cid and the Dwarfax, or Tella, one of the two. So we'll see if that ends up coming back to be a big deal or not. Looks like, according to our tracker, Dave, it was in the Barren Waterway at the save point room. So a little bit out of the way, but Scythe Marshal certainly rewarded for wandering off the beaten path there.
Yeah, like Barren Waterway is one of those areas that you don't usually check the chests down there, unless it's a dark runner hunt, or somehow you have too wild and hopefully you find some good high tier loot. But spiking that curse ring down there and find out that then realize that your agility situation is already taken care of as long as you don't pick up Sesame. So a good advantage on Scythe Marshal for that right now.
Yeah, absolutely. That having that curse ring will certainly help. And just to answer a question from chat, because vanilla agility is on, the Sea Hero portion for agility is basically overwritten, where the center slot character will be your anchor, and the Eddie Hero portion really has the teeth taken out of it. Now that will change if Cecil is added to the party. He then will become the anchor, but otherwise it's just going to be that person in the middle slot. Also notably, Inven said no to Rosa. So that is a little bit of a surprise to me. I wonder if we are taking a potential slingshot into consideration here, maybe preserving that Rosa, or maybe just wanting to run with Tella and kind of flex a little bit on all the Tella haters. I, for one, love the concept of playing with a Tella and letting him do great things. And looks like we're getting our first Baron basement peak from Inven as well. See if he's able to get through whatever rudeness is down here.
Yeah, um, for the randomization safety checks, this will gate a guarantee the intended underground access. So this is just basically finding information, gathering information on what the boss down here. It looks like we have some sort of flavor of guards, and it looks like we got the Baron guards.
This is interesting that it's doable, but it's gonna be painful.
Yes, and if Sergeant Marshall did did this before he continue on with his other checks, he did pick up an hourglass in K values. So with an hourglass and guards doesn't have the boss bid, this is a free fight for him. So this here is even though it is free, it's punchy, but you have to hopefully get the coffins or stops or wigs off before you get punched to down. And
What?
and we have the legend sword, so basically Baron has everything for tonight.
Yeah, Baron just giving all of the objectives. That is, liberate Baron Castle, defeat the bosses of Baron Inn, and then the Odin Throne, giving the forge or half of the forge, and also moving Inven up to 8 key items now. Scythe Marshal at 7. We'll see if Scythe Marshal peaks that Baron basement or not, and see what he does. But already being at 8 key items, that also is going to probably lead our runners even further away from any sort of grind. Knowing that you only need 2 more, and the Underworld giving the Pan turn-ins, giving Dwarf Castle, the Feymarch freebie, Keyless Tower, the 2 bosses in the Feymarch, it's a near certainty that 10 key items will be hit, and a grind can be done more conventionally, or you can just skip a grind altogether.
Yeah, it could be the either the Ammon or the Harp or both might be hidden deep in the moon. So basically, you can basically, once you get levels to the point of, I think I can tackle the moon right now and just go up there and do the moon bosses, and with 10 key items, that's your grind.
Yeah, and that's assuming we need to go to the moon. Because the moon looking less and less required potentially at this point, based on the fact that we've seen so many key items already and so many required things. So we'll see. You know, that twin harp and the other half of the forge could very well be on the blue planet here. The moon may be nothing more than just a path to Zeromus for our runners.
Yeah, as we saw on Scythe Marshal's side when he turned in the red tail, we just gave a wizard hat. So basically, that's a zonk on the main check. So there's one on the moon and summon, or it could be the legend sword position, and there's no there's a net 0 of key items being transferred between the 2 pools.
Yeah, absolutely. And looks like to add to the power, Scythe Marshal did pick up exactly a power shirt. in the third chest in Cave Eblin. That is a huge pickup as well. Just an enormous piece of equipment. 15 strength, that is 2 full multipliers. That edge is gonna do some work for Scythe Marshal. And I think there was a Zeus Gauntlet picked up. If not for both runners, there was definitely one picked up on Inven's side. We also see a Heroine Robe picked up on Scythe Marshal's side. That's going to be fantastic for our runners as well. And Inven may be playing the lottery here. Uh, Everybody's favorite game of what is going to be in Eblin Castle tonight. I think that's what we're about to find out.
Yes, and also there's with his party composition and Pound, or I believe Pound might be at RA1. So these three trap chests is basically Quake 2 of them. Third one you have to get through the Mag Ogres to get around their high magic resistance and all that fun stuff, and hopefully find something able to swing the tide towards them to power through not only the hook route but any of the bosses down the underground.
Yeah, I will say the Stardust Rod that was just picked up, that is not going to be a monster in a box, but it's certainly a huge power spike. That is a wonderful item to pick up. And we'll see what Inven opts to do here. Doesn't really have a great answer for these Mad Ogres. I think he might have a Mute Knife, though, on that edge, which will just tear through them. But no AoE to handle them. But yeah, there's a Mute Knife swing. That's 3,600 damage.
Yeah, and on Scythe Marshal's side, he picked up a Zeus Gauntlet from the Steelman chest. So basically, that's another item to either add to the edge, or possibly give it to Sid to basically say, hey, if you want to help out, here it is. And as we see through the hook route, we see a duplicate edge and a evil wall at the Ruby spot. Which, how do you feel about with that?
Honestly, not a worry with this party. Evil Wall is going to be kind of punchy. It's going to be fast, but you can just Zerk up edge, and that's not going to be realistically that much of a problem. Speaking of edges, there was an edge there on the hook route, which is scoop number 5 of Vanilla on the seed of the counting characters as well. So lots and lots of Vanilla on this one. But looks like Scythe Marshal continuing down the hook route here. Still opening boxes, which tells me that he wants to at least play with the Mad Ogres here as well and try to find some more power, but has now a Heroine Robe Elven Bow Rosa to help things out. So just accumulating immense amounts of power, while Inven is trying to find his power spike here in Eblin Castle. So both runners are going a little out of their way to make sure that they have the power they need to get through the hook route and beyond.
Yeah, and Scythe Marshal did pick up some hourglasses from Cave Eblin, so when he's find the Mag Ogres, like right now, he can just basically hourglass them, take 3 of them down, and steal any pockets of wine for that evil wall, so you don't have to rely on Rosa if she has Berserk right now to get edge or Eddie up to speed to attack that evil wall, because as we all know, evil wall cheats in battles. If you try to take a turn, he takes a turn before he does, and it's at the wrong spot. It makes it a hard day for you to go through it.
Yeah, Evil Wall basically is a berserker in a sense. If you think of what happens when you berserk your party members, that is exactly what Evil Wall is doing, where it just goes and goes and goes and punches and punches and punches. Evil Wall just doesn't know anything but punch. After 14, 15, 16 punches, something like that, it switches over to crush phase, at which point it slows down pretty dramatically, but it will start casting an instant death spell, which is Crush, and that would just take you out, which is not particularly fun. But I don't think our runners are going to get there. So I think they're going to have more than enough capability. And oh, hey, Eblin Castle gave a glass hat, something else, I forget what the other one was, and then a crystal sword. We don't have a Cecil, but if ever there was a time to invoke vanilla agility, this would be it, because a crystal sword is that good.
Yeah, and if you still have that dwarf axe with you, you can still do agility manipulation before the battle starts. And once they get to Cecil's turn, you can switch over to the crystal sword and don't worry about the agility updating it right there and attack with a big, huge holy stick. So it's one of those things like if a Cecil pops up, I might consider picking him up and deal with the vanilla agility. And as we see, we get another scoop of vanilla of King Queen Evelyn at their own spot.
Yeah, I don't think I can handle all of this this vanilla ice cream. It's too much for me. I'm gonna have to share some with chat. So, chat, enjoy all of the vanilla. Make sure you clean up after yourselves. I know it's a lot, but it's enjoyable still. Alright, so we have Scythe Marshal about to take on this Evil Wall. Inven being greeted with the news of Evil Wall's existence. We will see if Inven also opts to take on the Mad Ogre chest, or if he decides that he would rather just skip on by it and start fighting his way down, now having the glass hat and some other odds and ends to have already powered up his team. But this Evil Wall, Scythe Marshal has used an illusion to start the fight and is going through and berserking that edge. I don't know if there's a full moon on that edge. We'll find out shortly. But one of the interesting things about this flag set is that the back row glitch is off. And so that is going to cut that edge's damage down considerably. One of the major flags and impacting flags that has been added recently is fixing the back row glitch from vanilla, where now it is a toggleable thing. So that is going to play a major part here for Scythe Marshal. And hopefully he either realizes that, or this was simply intentional to make sure his edge doesn't die. But looks like we are getting a row change here, so I think Scythe Marshal has realized he wants that edge in the front row now.
Yeah, the back row glitch is one of those flags that it's one of those things that I kind of saw ahead of time with one of the wacky flags, in which one of the flags fixes the back row glitch for that particular flag. And back in my mind, it's like, are they going to introduce this as a new flag for the next update? And when 4.5 came out, voila, there's a back row glitch. So you go, so basically you think of, I can just with the Cecil, I can just give him bow and arrows to back row glitch and attack him in the back row. Nope.
Yeah, I mean, you can give people bows and arrows still, and they'll do great work, but it's not as strong as using typical weaponry. Looks like Inven decided he was going to show off some sneak strats here. Stole a couple of Bacchus wine from the Mad Ogres, gets the White Spear as well, and is on his way down the hook route now, not opening any other boxes, it looks like. While Scythe Marshal is already deep in the throes of this Evil Wall fight. Multiple blinks up, lots of damage being thrown out between viruses, quakes, zerked edges, and zerked eddies. I think this fight is probably getting pretty close to done on Scythe's side already, given the sheer amount of damage that's coming out. And as I say that, Evil Wall is crumbling.
Yes, and this is getting close to, let's say, 42 and some change minutes. Scythe Marshal hits the pitfall and Fisher got underground access. So next thing is he going to move a little bit over to the right to peek who's at top of tower to see, do I want to do a keyless tower now with that boss, or just wait until I get the tower key and do it all in one go?
Yeah, absolutely. An interesting decision to be made for Scythe Marshal. Also, does still have that Baron basement check that is yet to be completed on his side, but is up that Cave Bahamut check from earlier. We do see that is Golbez at the top of tower. That is a boss that exists. That spot is super annoying for Golbez, not because it's hard but because Golbez will do basically no damage to itself there, and so you have to go through all 20,000 health basically by yourself, because the Lit 3s are going to do like 600, the viruses do like 200. It's kind of a gross spot for Golbez.
Yeah, it's one of those spots. Is like, do I really have to? It and basically, it's one of those things. Like you said, he's not helping out dealing down his damage. So it's one of those things of that would be a future me problem down the line if it's required.
Yeah, I think Golbez at the top of tower is going to cause our runners to very much so look the other direction. Basically, I see what's happening there. I want nothing to do with it. Golbez, you can stay there, have fun at the top of the tower. I'll be back never. I think that's kind of the attitude that our runners may have. Looks like we get a glass hat from the Pan Bonk, and we'll see if Scythe Marshal opts to go turn in the Pan checks right away, Sheila 1 and 2, or if he opts to go to the Fan March. Looks like Scythe says, let me go and go pander to Sheila and see what I can get as a reward.
Yeah, at this point, if doing both shield checks, if she gives off the Twin Harp, good news. He went through all the damage tiles, all the primary members down to crit HP, and minus minus some weird, minus some weird things might happen. You can easily have Pylon virus the whole party and speed up the whole first phase of the fight and get to the music real quick.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the cool things about routing in the Twin Harp after doing anything with damage tiles, is you're able to just go through and pretty quickly and reliably off your own party to be able to get through that first phase quicker. Speaking of things that we don't want to be doing, there is that tower key from the pan turn in. So the seed is saying, ha ha ha, just like Golbez is. And the Luca key also showing up. Worth noting, that puts Scythe Marshal at 9 key items. Once Inven turns in the pan, as he is now through Evil Wall, he will be at 10 key items. So a lot in the way of key items for our runners. And like we said earlier, they're very likely to hit 10 before having to go to the moon. So we're more likely than not to see a more traditional kind of siren grind than a D machine grind.
Yeah, tower key incentivize you to do the full tower since just do it once and don't have to do it, but have to deal with that Golbez. Golbez will be a second thing to do since tower key you just go in. The HP spot for that is not that high. Go out, it explodes. You go back up, do Golbez, and hopefully the key items pop out. Really pays you off, but it's one of those things of, do you really want to go through that spot or not?
Yeah, I know for me the answer would be no, I don't want to deal with it. So I like Scythe Marshal's play here of at least going and checking out what's happening here in Dwarf Castle. Maybe just buying some Bacchus wines. Looks like he's getting his handle on a 4-pack there. Maybe picking up some Star Veils as well, picks up 2 of those. So an interesting little set here. We also see Scythe Marshal going to pick a fight with the Dwarf Castle bosses. Doesn't want to deal with that tower key, that Golbez rather. Even having 2 key item checks available in the tower just says, I'll go do other things. And looks like it's turtle time for Scythe Marshal.
Yeah, with the checks down here, you either do for Scythe Marshal, he can dip down and look at cave to see what's down there. It may pay off, it may not, but it's just basically a key item check just to see if one of the required items is down there. Or probably go up to Feymarch, get the freebie up there, in which Evan is doing right now, and check the 2 bosses there to see if either of those are doable. Hey, we have underground access now. As we have Evan checks the Feymarch bosses, we have Dark Elf on Leviathan's side and Antlion on the shore. Evan's like, I'm not dealing with those 2 right now. And on the Scythe Marshal side, got through Kanaso and Dr. Luge as at Gobez with the Porom. He dismissed her since he already has a white mage as Rosa and tackling this Dr. Luge fight. Porom's a good white mage. If you, hey, I'm really taking Porom as a white mage. If she shows up and I was like, hey, Porom, come here. You help out. And there's sometimes that Rosa's come off and Porom already has those levels. Like, sorry, Rosa, I already got a white mage.
Oh yeah, I'm back. Discord, on the other hand, who knows? But yeah, apologies, folks. Discord decided it had better things to do than play nice with me. So yeah, we're back though. Thank you, Warlink, for taking the reins there.
Yeah, you haven't missed him at anything. Magma Key was in the Feymarch freebie with Dark Elf and Antlion down the bosses. Scythe Marshal saw Porom and got through the Kanazo, saw the Porom, was like, no, not today, and got through the Dr. Luge spot and Dr. Luge and reward another Masamune for the edge.
Well, that is one very angry ninja there who is going to be able to surely help the team get through, well, basically everything. So that's a good find for our runners.
And it looks like Scythe Marshals will dip down, look at Cave just to see what's the key item down there, because I don't want to deal with Gobez up there, so I don't blame him to do this check here, and hopefully it gives one of the required key items, or the only let me check. Earth Crystal is the only gaining key item left we haven't seen yet, so it's one of those things of hopefully it's one of those 3, or else I'm gonna reset out.
Yeah, I mean, the only other thing you might consider keeping is the spoon, because it would represent kind of power overwhelming for Eddie. So I think that an argument could be made because that would also give Scythe Marshal 10 key items plus a spoon. I think that would be very alluring, but we'll see how he goes about this based on what's there. And it does look like on Inven's side, being at 10 key items, looks like it is time to crack some eggs and make some omelets. Hope everyone on Inven's team is hungry because the XP will be flowing in fast.
And with that base level Rose, she will get Slingshot from this first egg just to catch up, and probably get, or just doing one egg just to get Rosa up to speed, and probably go down to Dwarf Castle, go through those bosses, and get rewarded with some Hanzo Steel.
Yeah, Inven may be saying my end game plan is Zerkers rather than reflex strats, or even if it's hybrid, he can grind later. Might just want the XP now. Maybe thinking if I have to go to the moon, I'll get the rest of my XP there. So definitely a valid strategy. But oh hey, on Scythe Marshal's side, we see the Twin Harp from the Luca Cave. That is a required Luca Cave.
Yeah, now up in the booth, we only need to know is where is this Animat rock is. And look, we have a young Karate Man coming down saying, "Hey, you didn't let me join the party," and sat down here and take a couple of swings and a couple of kicks to the party.
Yeah, not that bad a fight here, to be completely honest, though. We're basically looking at the evil wall spot in vanilla. The magic is through the roof here to make sure the petrifies land, and to make sure the crush lands, but the physical attack here is moderate at best, because in the vanilla game, they didn't want you to get just completely overwhelmed by evil wall. It happened anyway to a lot of folks, from what I'm told, but thankfully the physical attack stat here is not that bad at all. Scythe Marshal, meanwhile, just pummeled that wall, or excuse me, just pummeled that karate. Over 3,000 damage a swing from that edge. That is quite well done and quite quickly dispatched on Scythe's side.
Yeah, and he's probably anchor, so he doesn't have to deal with that. The evil wall spots, high agility spots, so basically able to get turns in before the karate does some little meaningless damage to the party, to able to knock it down and warp out to the Luke Cave. And I'm taking a wild guess of he might just go straight for he might. His endgame is probably go to Twin Harp right now, but he hasn't checked Feymarch yet. So, like I mentioned earlier, go up there, get damage towers to get everyone low, and to speed up the Dark Elf, the first part of the Dark Elf fight. Get the freebie check to see if that's the House of the Forge. We don't, as we know, it's just the Magma Key. And then decide whether to tackle the Dark Elf or Antlion down here at Feymarch. Yeah,
absolutely. It makes a lot of sense as well to go through and set it up that way. You get that free key item check. Scythe Marshal, now knowing that he's only one key item from go mode, excuse me, two key items to Forge, knowing that he's going to prioritize probably places that are K Summon and K Moon spots. So I think ultimately that's going to be good for Scythe Marshal, where he can focus on things like what we know, the Barren Basement. But it may be bad in a sense if he starts focusing on the Feymarch, because we know, at least right now, that we don't think there's value down here. But we'll see. Long term, there may end up being value here. It's just a tough sell.
Yeah, it's one of those things of, do I want to dip down Feymarch for a second time for hopefully the key items down here, or basically take the path of I'm already down here. I think I can handle this boss with this part. Let's see if I can tackle these two bosses and hopefully it gives something meaningful. If not, I'm done. I'm done with here. I don't have to come back here.
Yeah, it looks like Scythe Marshal not even peeking the bosses, just doing the key item check in the shop checks. So had no intentions of fighting anything down there. Makes sense. He does the key item grab, he does the shop checks, he sets himself up to be weakened to go do the Twin Harp, which again, we kind of highlighted early on that Scythe Marshal was very objective oriented, following that Baron Inn and Baron Castle very early on. So continuing that gameplay style here of just going to do your objectives, which frankly works more often than not in free enterprise. As simple as it sounds, sometimes the simplest strategy is the best one. But meanwhile, before we have this brief musical interlude brought to you by the Harp Cartel and all the wonderful folks who are part of it, I do want to make sure that we give a shout out to our behind the scenes folks and our runners. So great job so far by both Inven and Scythe Marshal, and also to Asuka doing the restream, stepping in when a certain marsupial's Discord decides to break. Dave doing the tracking, and Warlink as well, of course. Fantastic job doing comms with you, my friend.
Yeah, and I would also like to shout out to my co-commentator, Possum Morpheus. He's an excellent person. If you have any questions about the free enterprise, all that stuff, he's willing to able to sit down and able to explain all that stuff. So give him a follow if you get the chance. And as we wrap up right here, the party is perished. Everyone's about to get out of the bed and slowly get to the harp. So we will all be quiet as we listen to DJ Spoonie B playing his rockin' tunes.
All right. Well, Scythe Marshal has completed the Twin Harp check, and well, I guess completing objective number one is cool, but the reward itself was also passable, I would say.
Yeah, it's one of those things of I don't feel like walking down the LST. Let's just take the back door and just go to the Zeronis fight without after walking down multiple floors, think about what to do on that stuff. And on Evan's side, he got his Twin Harp, and he's doing the going the forest near Baron Castle, and basically take the Swagabo over to Cape Magnus instead of taking the ones in near Troy Castle.
Yeah, everybody loves a good Swagabo. Always a fun time to do that, and we'll soon enough be getting a musical interlude. But we do finally have someone deciding. It is time to tackle the fearsome foe at the top of the tower. Scythe Marshal gonna head on up that tower and see if he can play with the very special comedian that is Golbez. I wonder if we see a cheeky half tower play or something like that first, but I don't hate the play. It's two checks, and in Scythe Marshal's shoes, he needs both halves of the forge. Doesn't know he's looking for just one. On Inven's side, there's a legitimate case to be made that Inven could fade tower altogether and just go straight to the moon, knowing that it's a terminal key item that is awaiting him for completion of the seed at this point. There is greater than a non-zero chance that that tower just gets faded altogether for Inven. So I'm very curious to see how this all plays out. But there's some Magus Sisters on Scythe Marshal side, some music on Inven's side. So yeah, y'all get a reprisal here. Enjoy DJ Spoonie B's Rockin' Tunes one more time. All right, and Inven now also has his pass and has objective number 1 of completing Cave Magnus done. So all Inven needs now is just the Adamant Rock to complete the seed, while Scythe Marshal is doing battle with this here Golbez. Must have a ribbon from somewhere because we saw Shadow the Snake try to eat some people and was not successful at it. So I believe there must be a ribbon there that was targeted multiple times, uh, which is good for Scythe Marshal. He'll be able to really start pumping out the damage here and hopefully get some Zerks up on his party to really start taking down this Golbez.
Yeah, luckily for Scythe Marshal, get able to get the 1 in 3 chance of Shadow try and nom on the character with the ribbon. So with the able to pull off the hide off with Edward, only lose 1 character instead of 3. 2 would be the best case scenario, but worst case scenario, but only Rose does. So basically, like you said, Zerk up the Edge and Edward, cast Quake or Virus on Palom, and this will be a manageable fight to go through.
Yeah, absolutely. And the approach is definitely sound from Scythe Marshal here, getting everyone healed up, getting them zerked up, doing all that damage. And I was curious if this was going to be the play that Inven made, and it looks like it is the play that Inven's making, saying, I'm looking for 1 terminal key item. Terminal key items are more likely to be on the moon or in summon spots, and Inven is putting his faith in the lunar subterranean. And we shall see if he is rewarded or not. Looks like he is also prepping for some warlocks, while Scythe Marshal picked up a shiny rock. Not the Adamant Rock, but the Earth Crystal. So it's party rock time. I wonder if we'll get a treasury rating, though, because the treasure settings RT Wildish, but it's max 6. So there's a little bit that has been taken out, from the capabilities of those treasuries.
And also with that Earth Crystal, all the remaining key items that we don't know are all terminals. So basically, which is good news for Invent on his side, because he won't encounter the Earth Crystal when trying to dive down the moon. So he will hit one of those terminal key items. And as Scythe Marshal exits the Lower Tower of Babel, the bridge is crumbled. Edge quickly runs away before he falls to the level. Falls. Enterprise comes down, swoops down, picks up Edge in the party, and receives just a Dragoon Lance.
Yeah, basically gets a dart. Inven, meanwhile, decided that he was going to take some Warlocks, did one set, got some life glitches, 138k experience, enough to get his party started, if you will, and onward to some boss checks, while Scythe Marshal is going to go play with the Earth Crystal, but not give us a check of the treasure. Womp womp. Understandable, though, as he already has quite a bit of equipment. But yeah, looks like the Earth Crystal will be the next check for Scythe Marshal. And I believe, other than the Barren Basement, Scythe Marshal is out of stuff to do on the Blue Planet, right?
Except for the 2 bosses in Fey March. So we haven't checked those.
Okay.
So basically, for Scythe Marshal, he's if somehow this gives out the Atom Rock, or basically a or any other item. Since he's already at Baron, he might just do Odin Throw and be rewarded with Legend Sword. So at that point, he also has to decide of, do I want to commit to completely full clear the Earth with those 2 Feymark bosses, or with the pass in hand, follow Invent up the moon and hopefully the last key item is up there.
Yeah, we have a little bit of awkwardness on Invent's side here. We have the D-Lunar spot, which is 42,000 health, occupied by the Blarg Dragon itself. Invent is not perfectly anchored like Scythe is, so I think he can still get enough Veils off here, probably 3, maybe 4, and should still be fine here. But going to have to do this at battle speed 6 as opposed to like 2 or 3, where you could just quickly get some actions off. But does get all 4 Veils up. So there is. Oh no.
Yep. Witchburn is turned on. So with that tornado, he's resetting, getting his Star Veils back, and basically knows, Witchburn is turned on. Let's just zerk up everyone and just go to town.
Yeah, this is going to be Edge drinks Bacchus wine, Edge goes Burr. The rest of the party goes down to like 0 health or less than 10. But that is a brutal witch burn. And there is Cecil hanging out in the Tower of Zot. So Inven could have had a Crystal Sword Cecil. Oh my heavens, that tornado did way more than I thought. I thought Tornado was party-wide weak. I was wrong by a factor of a lot. Hello and goodbye. Wow.
Okay. Note to self, when things are a tornado, don't assume it's weak.
Yeah, that was brutal. So I think the tornado is from something like a sandworm, like on the way to Kaipo or something. It's some obscure enemy that you basically never see it from. But apparently, whatever it is, it scales really heckin' fast with the magic on the moon. Yikes. I guess I'm personally now hoping the Admit Rock is behind that, because it would be hilarious and cruel. But that's just me.
Yeah, for chat and for us on the booth, we want that Adamant Rock right there. But for our runners, we're just praying that it's not there, or else it would be one of those things of, what do I do now?
Oh, and thank you to Frith in chat. It is Sandworm and also Ging Ryu. The not yellow dragons or gold dragons, but the silver dragons apparently also use that move. I assume as a counter to something, maybe the holy spell. I have no honest idea. There is a white shirt from the Tower of Zata, so Scythe Marshal not finding what he was looking for, but looks like he is saving outside of Baron, so maybe taking a trip down to the Baron basement, which we know is the correct play.
And also on Invin's side, he had his edge throw up a moon veil and decided to cast Reflected Fire 3s onto the element, the Marlon Z version of the element. So basically, Marlon Z in this form is weak to fire, and as long as you don't deal direct damage, or if you do direct damage and land enough damage to knock it out, it doesn't change form. So basically, a good heads up for him.
And gets some Artemis arrows for his trouble. I actually think he's going to keep those, and the reason is as an emergency solution for that Wyvern. If he has to fight that, he's probably going to look for a way to just murder it really fast. Obviously, he has to still survive the initial tornado, but those Artemis arrows are a good contingency plan for a little while from now, if that's a required thing.
Yeah, just speed up either Rosa or Edward. Give them arty, and hopefully you're fast enough to able to deal enough damage to take down the Wyvern before casting the tornado, and hopefully take down the whole before the whole party decides, no, not today, and just face plants.
And a little bit awkward here for Inven, runs into DKC, but Rosa is buried in slot 4, so gonna be difficult to make anything happen there. And then Edward was buried in slot 5, so just unfortunate order for the party there. But yeah, or excuse me, Edward was in 3 but died. But I think Inven will be able to get through this. Sid may be the only person standing, but it'll be fine. And Scythe Marshal did pick up that Legend Sword, so we'll see if Scythe goes to the Moon or it goes Feymarch. Given the choices, it looks like we're going to get the Feymarch from Scythe Marshal here, leaving no stone unturned, or at least going to Talmra to do some shopping. But Inven is able to get Rosa back up and was able to get Edward hidden, so making some good progress there on that Dark Knight fight.
Yeah, the darkness rolled low on Edward to leave around 36 HP, so able to pull off the hide off to just as backup contingency, and more Hanzo Seal for the edge. So we're running out of places to find that element rock. Hopefully it's behind that Wyvern.
Yeah, we see Inven drop the battle speed to 5. I wonder if we're going to take another crack at that Wyvern. I also wonder, outside of Sid, who's able to survive that tornado, because it looked like it did about 2,200, which I think is more than everyone but Sid has. So
I was going to think, can you hide Edward like Ember did and try to bypass the tornado, come back, light everyone up, and hopefully make it a battle attrition to get everyone up and try to handle this Wyvern.
Yeah, and I think that's what he's going for here. And okay, so that tornado did considerably less there, which tells me that tornado is HP based. Because that Wyvern took roughly, what, 10k damage, um, which would be about a quarter of its health, maybe 8k. It only did 1600 this time, not 2200. So I think that means that Tornado is HP based, and by doing the damage ahead of time, Inven was actually able to keep some of his characters alive, and now Rosa can just go full on murder on this icky dragon, and we'll see if value is behind this wyvern or not.
Yeah, with already against any dragon type enemies, it's going to have a bad day. So able to, like you said, able to get that damage onto wyvern to lower the damage from tornado, which is, it looks like it's HP based. So good on him to basically see that, able to adapt and figure out how to get around with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Very heads up, and Inven is very quickly through that wyvern. Rosa doing work there, and we'll see what Inven gets for rewards. It looks like a pink tail and an X-Gal, so he gets a dart, and I guess the pink tail could represent another dart. But either way, is through the fight, while Scythe Marshal is pew-pewing away at the Dark Elf down in the Fey March.
Yeah, no elements is turned on, so basically the pink tail gives a tier 7 and 8 item. So with this party, maybe a life staff for Rosa, but it's something that I won't turn in unless I'm maybe hopefully for maybe a white shirt for Rosa, but it's just a item just occupies a inventory slot.
Yeah, not a whole lot of reason to go about that, turning in that pink tail. But looks like we are going to get some Life Glitch Gold Dragons here, so Inven going for a little bit of a grind. But not going to be able to get a Life Glitch because Rosa too fast, too angry. And 120,000, still pretty good though. Learns White on Rosa, learns Meteo on the kid, so just shy of Nuke. May take one more here, as I believe he has one more Hourglass, and will be able to then get Nuke on his kid. And speaking of Excaliburs, now both of our runners have one, as the Dark Elf in the Fey March gave an Excal, which I firmly believe is about to be darted right at the Antlion next door.
Yeah, Antlion has a every time you do a fight command to him, he counters with counters. So basically, first turn, you're just throwing that X-Cal. It's like, I don't need this. I don't need this. Just deal a lot of damage and basically get through, and hopefully this adamant rock is behind this, which is, as I look at the tracker, we don't know where the adamant rock or the spoon at. So basically, if this drops the spoon, hey, it's a better upgrade from the X-Scout to Dart, but we haven't ever to equip it, so it's basically one of those things of, hey, I have something to Dart, but Edward can use it.
Yeah, it is interesting to note, though, that because Super Smith is on, I mean, the spoon is stronger as far as pure damage, but you might just dart the spoon anyway in a pinch, just so, you get through whatever fight you need to, and then you just go through and equip whatever harp you get for Eddie. It'll be interesting to see how our runners tackle that situation if the spoon does show up. Whether they opt to equip it or just kind of, dart it somewhere and worry about that later, and just equip the harp or some harp.
Yeah, out of the 3 harps, the Requiem harp is basically the stats of a drain sword. It's -5 to all stats. The Loki's harp is the one that gives stats to all of them. So basically, if it's a Loki harp, I consider it a little bit better than spoon, but on stats wise, all that stuff. And hey, there's a spoon for Edward, so somewhere on the moon contains our adamant rock.
Yeah, and I wonder if Scythe Marshal is going to go top down rather than bottom up here. Just simply looking at a situation where he may think, well, if it's on the moon and it's at the bottom, someone else would have already done this. So I'll just go and do top down and go Value Cave first. Actually, now that I think about it, he's
He
already
already
done
did that.
Value Cave. So yeah, it's either at this Crystal Sword altar where Inven is, or it's at the Murasame altar. So yeah, I guess we're about to find out one way or the other. I would guess then Inven is a little bit ahead.
Yeah, Evan is basically this altar and the mirror altar. So basically, it's one of those things of does Side Marshal does top down or top down just to on the playoff. No one has finished yet, and we had Darkness Crystals since the start. So, and I already full cleared the blue plants. So just take the gamble and just go top down.
Yeah, I think in Scythe Marshal's case, Murasame Altar makes a lot of sense, which means we may see both of our runners at the Murasame Altar at the same time, and both of them getting their Adamant Rock at relatively the same time as well. So in Scythe Marshals just makes a lot of sense because you've cleared out the entire blue planet. So the situation you're looking at is that you're just sitting there, and you have to imagine if someone went to the moon and the value was at the bottom, they'd be done already. So top down just makes so much more sense in Scythe's shoes. Worth noting on Invent's side, we are seeing some walking and we are seeing some warping. This is one of those fantastic situations, and I have done this myself, where you run all the way down the lunar subterrane just to find out you don't have exit, and then you got to warp all the way out.
Yeah,
So I've been there, done that. I know how it feels, Inven. I know you're not listening to this, but I know how it feels, my friend.
yep. It's one of those things of let's cast exit. Rosa is like that. She, I haven't found Earth Crystal, but I haven't done Tower of Zod. This is another reason of Perm might be the Perm White Mage of hey, she will already learn exit through level up instead of a event. So that's a given right there. But basically, I have to do the whole walking up the LST. Just think through of okay, just give you enough time to let your brain process of okay, what do I do next, and all that fun stuff. And sitting at the Merce altar is Rubicant, which I believe, as long as you don't, how do you feel about this situation?
I mean, you kill it with fire and it dies. Like, both of our runners have such strong edges at this point that they're not going to have too much trouble. I'm a little surprised that we didn't see a spoon dart on Scythe Marshal's side there, but it probably means that Eddie is destined to be able to Zerk with it later on. Whereas on Inven's side, I think he darted an Excal before Edge got exploded. So going to be a little bit of a longer fight there for Rybon. But it's going to be very interesting because I think that even if Scythe Marshal gets through this fight first, I think Inven is up a fairly significant amount of a grind here. So I think Inven is ultimately in a better spot long-term than Scythe Marshal is, especially because we're going to get no XP on Palom again on Scythe Marshal's side. So no look at Nuke, no look at White. But here is that Adamant Rock. An hour, 25 minutes in, and nearly side by side on getting their Adamant Rocks. Absolutely fantastic stuff from our runners. And looks like Scythe Marshal is going to take some gold dragons here. Makes a lot of sense as he is just not ready yet for Zeromus. So makes a lot of sense. Needs some levels. Needs a little more help here. Looks like he's coffining Palom. Hmm.
Maybe he's setting up no, he can't. I'm thinking if he might set up a slingshot, but I don't know if his Palm is that far behind. Well, Palm didn't gain that XP from that Ruby fight, so maybe with this Go Dragons, Palm might be 5 levels below the medium. So the next Go Dragon he summons, he gets the slingshot bonus. So it could be a situation for that.
Yeah, it could also be that he's just going to use Palom as an anchor. That might also be what's happening here. Is just go Zerkers and
Yeah,
not worry about it.
yeah. Switch said Sid's wearing the curse ring because if you saw on Cybermesh side whenever Ruby casts the Fire 2 counter script, Sid was healed by the fire damage. And on Envin's side, he did the Forge, which gave the Lucky Harp, which is objective number 2. All 4 objectives are lit up and receive the crystal.
Yeah, so for Inven, the first of our restreamed runners in Go mode, we do have, I think, 1 or 2 other folks running this who are not restreamed tonight. No idea where they are currently, as you know, just following what's on stream here. But we do have Inven taking the Falcon over to Troya, and looks like he is getting set up. The Loki Harp not going on Eddie. And doesn't have the spoon. So I think the Loki Harp actually lowers agility, if I remember right.
No, that's the Requiem Harp. Loki Harp is
okay.
it's plus 15 of all stats and strong against every type.
Gotcha. Well, I do believe though that we are now on Inven's side on our way over, to fight the big bad of final boss of the game, Zeromus, which cannot be anywhere else. Would be kind of rude to get big banged and meteored in Antlion Cave. But that does beget a very important question, Warlink, and I think I would like to have you do the honors here, if you don't mind.
Oh, I do. As as Infinite enters the fight around the 1 hour and 29 minutes and let's say 15. Let's make it 18 seconds. We ask ourselves this one easy and simple question, which is, whose butt are we going to kick tonight?
And is it cute? And does it have a hat?
Does it even have a butt?
It doesn't always. But while Inven throws that crystal and we get to see who the final boss actually is and what fantastic cosplay that Scala Kitty has drawn up for us tonight, Scythe Marshal is right behind Inven. So we're going to get a fantastic dueling Z fight from our runners. And looks like we have Loki's harp instead of the spoon going on. And this is Dirthamus. Not going to lie, no idea what it's from.
I want to say Seven Saga, I believe, unless Scott's going to say something else.
Dearth from Newtopia.
Oh,
Yep. Was never going to guess that in 100 years.
I get the right bit generation console, but...
And the counter nuke does go and land on Rosa there for Inven, which is not the ideal target, but it looks like we are getting some hybrid strats going here. Some attacks from Edge, some Zerks from Eddie, the nukes coming out from Palom, Rosa making sure she does not perish, but going to be a pretty smooth fight, I think, for Inven here. That Eddie cranking out nearly 4,000 damage. You'll love to see that.
Scythe Marshal rearranged his party, gave apples to his party members, and followed right behind Inven on his heroic fight, fighting this fight, and like you said, he's going to do full Hero Circus strats with Edge, Sid, and with Edward shredding with the Luca Harp, defeating Soromas by the power of music.
Which, after all, is fairly appropriate, given that this is the Music Appreciation Club. So, defeating Zeromus by the power of music is only right. But we do have Scythe Marshal heading into the Zeromus fight, going to launch that crystal and get their party going. We do see considerably lower levels on Scythe's side, but not too shabby. Still over 2200 on Edge, 1900 on Rosa, 1300 on Eddie. Still pretty serviceable. Not going to be too bad at all. While Inven is still chugging away here, and we'll see. He's got to be getting close because he has done a ton of damage with these hybrid strats.
Yeah, and yes, he does. With that Palm doing quad nines with the reflecting nukes. This hopefully, with the damage pointing out, we're not going to see that second Big Bang and Zeromus. Either Zeromus goes down or we go straight to rocks, but most likely Zeromus is going to go down.
Yeah, I would imagine one more nuke will probably do it, and I think that was a direct cast even. Yeah, I think Inven knew that he had tipped, so he was just going to direct cast there. Probably going to be a finishing blow. Direct nuke from Palom here. We'll see. Looks like Edge did the deed instead. GG's to Inven, finishing first on stream, and I believe we will be seeing if we can get him in for an interview, as he is also first place overall. So GG's to Inven, and I believe with that dinging in my ear, we are joined by this evening's winner. GG to you, Inven.
Hey, thank you. You think you're going to get frisky and, out meta everyone, being like, who would go to the bottom of the moon with no source of exit? But surely it's down there, right? Come on, there's so little left. The Fey March fights are garbage. I don't want to go to Tower of Babel and fight Golbez. That guy's a jerk. And instead, the LST was both empty and rude. Does anyone have the damage algorithm for Tornado? I would love to know what the damage algorithm for Tornado is.
It's HP based. We figured that out based on your fights, because the first time I did 2200, the second time you did 8 to 10k and it dropped it to 1600. So we were at least able to deduce that it's HP based.
It's like
but that's as far as we got. Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha.
So yeah, but when you saw that, we had a great chunk, because I was like, oh, Tornado, it's going to be like Maelstrom. It'll drop everyone down. It'll be
That's
weak.
what I thought.
It wasn't.
Yeah. So I got the great, triple whammy of embarrassment to go in there at Wyvern Standard Time, put up all the Star Veils. Wait, no, it's Witchburn. And then you go back in, and you're like, oh, okay, I'll just get ready to heal Rosa up, and she'll cure the team. And everybody's dead but Sid. What? And at that point, it's just like, what have I done? But Artemis arrows, very, very fun, very fun.
Yeah, when you pick those up from the Ogopogo spot, it was like, oh, that's your Wyvern contingency plan. That's going to make that way better, way smoother for you. So that was a fantastic pickup to make that happen.
What even uses Tornado in is that like a sandworm ability out in the Kaipo Desert and Antlion Cave and stuff? Who even uses that? Did y'all figure that out?
We knew it was Sandworm, but then chat also let us know that the Ging Ryus, the Silver Dragons, also use it as a counter for summons.
Moon enemies and their summon counters, of course.
Yep.
Of course.
Yep. Things we never run into in the randomizer.
Witchburn's kind of fun like that. Alt Gauntlet opened up a lot of that when it was added, but Witchburn's still out here, surprising. It's nice.
Yeah, it was definitely a fantastic one. At your displeasure, if you will, but we were amused by it. So, we thank you for that. Great gameplay and great entertainment.
glad to help. It looked like a fun flag set. I love it when harp's required because then there's no lingering doubt in your mind of, am I going to commit to this 3-minute check? It's just you're gonna do it, and it's one fewer thing off your shoulders. So, and pretty fun otherwise too. Bard hero fun. You get to see him do thousands of damage at the end game once you finally get the forge going. So yeah, I really like the music appreciation club. Fun stuff. Fun stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, you played a heck of a race, and congrats on the win there. I don't really have any questions for you. You kind of covered a lot of it when you joined the booth. The fading of the Golbez made a lot of sense because ew.
Yeah, I really should have done Moon top down though. Should have done Cave Bahamut into the Murasame altar. Like, if you don't have exit, that is what you should be doing. But you get frisky with it, and you pay the price. Sometimes you got to stick to fundamentals.
No, I mean it still worked out for you, so not too much to complain about. It can always be better, we know this, but you still played a heck of a race, and we appreciate you.
Ooh, Golbez had an Earth Crystal too. That's where I'm like, also with that Crystal Sword from Eblin, by the way, I'm like, be great if Cecil would show up. Sure would be nice to see a Cecil. Cecil, you out there, buddy? And he was through the Golbez. Great. Or I guess he could be on the Giant, but not.
Well,
No.
he was in Za.
Okay,
Yeah.
he was.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, what was your purpose of going through Castle? You're the only feature runner that dipped through Castle Evelyn to go through the trap chest. Were you looking for a particular item from the trap chest, or you're just there just to get a little bit more experience before dipping down to the hook route?
I really wanted to get a second good sword for Edge. Anything else was just going to be gravy. And also, with the Artemis bow, I knew that I had a setup where Palom could open most fights with Quake there, since he had gotten it from Baron. So I'm like, I got Quake. I'll go through here. So I did those for that. Didn't get a lot to show for it. I mean, the Crystal Sword looks pretty, but didn't do me any good. And then the only trap chest I took after that was when I saw Evil Wall down the hook route. I'm like, I want a few flasks of Bacchus wine. That will simplify that fight immensely. So that's why I took the Mad Ogre chest in the tower itself. Anyway, I think Scythe is also waiting to get in here, but thank you all for handling the restream, doing the comms, Asuka and Dave behind the scenes. Hope you all had a fun time. I did. I'm gonna dip out, and you all have a lovely night.
Thank you, Inven. You as well. GG's once again, my friend.
Thank you.
All right, and with that, that was Inven, our winner this evening. First place overall and first place on Restream. And we do have our second place finisher, Scythe Marshall, joining us this evening. Just a couple minutes behind Inven, very close, and did a whole lot of checks on the Earth that Inven did not do. So Scythe Marshall, GG's to you. Very well run race.
Oh, thank you. That was interesting.
Well, you say it was interesting. What was your favorite or most interesting part about it?
Well, I don't know what Inven did to get Quake on Palom, or even if he got Quake on Palom, but I don't think Coffin a single Warlock and then Reflex Strats Bahamut was up there. Maybe we did the same thing, but that would be funny.
You did not do the same thing. We speculated when you turned on encounters you were looking for a single warlock, because I know that that's something that has been discussed as a potential way to get some early XP. And you also managed to loot some awesome things early on. I think there was like a glass hat and an apple for money in there as well. And then you just happened to go and take Bahamut out, which gave you a Masa, which was kind of cool for the edge.
Yep. I don't know what it was, but that seed, just everything I picked up turned to gold, basically. I maybe there were like 10 chests that didn't have good stuff in it, but everything else was valuable. And my spoiler reel said I looted 56 chests. Probably 45 of them were like good items.
Well,
I
that's too
got so
wild.
lucky.
I will say that there's one thing you got to avoid that Inven did not get to avoid.
Uh-oh.
That was Wyvern at the Lunar Dragon spot on the moon, casting Tornado, which is an HP based attack that things on the moon don't normally cast. So you can count your lucky stars. You didn't have to deal with that. You did have
Tor-
to deal with the Golbez and everything else and all the icky Earth nonsense, but you at least got to fade that.
yeah, the Golbez, like, I was climbing up tower and I said, do I want to do Golbez? I knew it was Golbez. Do I want to do it? And then I realized Inven wasn't going to do it. Probably. Right? There's no Inven would never make that play. And so I said, well, here's the counterplay, and it didn't pay out. But whatever. At least I don't think it did. I don't remember what was its thought. It was second Masa?
It was either a Masa or a Mura, one of like 8
Second
edge
Masa. I didn't
swords.
find a
Yeah.
Murasame. Yeah. All right.
Oh, okay. There was a Murasame hanging out in Damsian Basement, among other places. So they were just all over the place. Just edge swords everywhere.
Wow. So yeah, the curse string I picked, I don't remember where I picked the curse string up, but I was really happy I did. That was fun. Um
Yeah, it was fantastic. I think you got it from the Barren Waterway. I
oh
believe
yeah, yeah,
chat
yeah.
pointed out, or our tracker Dave pointed out, which was a huge deal because that gave you, turn parity in a way that you just otherwise wouldn't have had. So that was a really big pickup for you, and I think you leveraged it really well as well. Getting through that hook route, especially that evil wall. While you had equipment for it, it certainly is a lot easier when you have perfect agility.
Yeah, the evil wall's not fun. Realistically, one thing I could have done is like gone sort of fast anchored, because at that point I think I don't remember if I had the heroin robe at that point. Maybe not. Yeah, I don't remember.
Well,
I
I know
think I
when
did,
you,
and then I picked a second one up. I bought one in
yeah,
Cave Eblin and then picked another one. So
I remember you bought one, and then like 3 chests later, you found one, which is how the game works.
yeah, that's always how it works. The I think for me I I don't know. I really enjoyed being able to sort of swap between fast anchors, slow anchors, just sort of do all the agility manipulation effectively. Some seeds, especially on Sea Hero, you just don't have that, but vanilla agility was nice. I think that like maybe it sucks some of the fun out of Sea Hero, but I liked it. I thought that was fun. And then at the end, right, I could swap. I wasn't gonna level to Nuke and White, so I could swap Palom to the Anchor and then have 3 Zerkers and Rosa. So and that was nice.
Yeah, absolutely makes sense, and it was a very well run race. Warlink, any questions or thoughts or comments for Scythe?
No, I haven't any questions since you already answered the question about taking Cape Bahamut first. So, only thing I say is you play a nice seed, you both clear the moon. Hopefully it's hashtag never moon, but you play a fantastic run, and um, thanks for running this club for us to run and enjoy.
Yeah, no problem. Turns out the music was Jungle Zone from Sonic the Hedgehog. I don't know that song.
Oh, that was what it was. It was bugging me. It's like I know where it's from, but it's from the Game Gear version of Sonic. So it's a nice little jingle to listen to.
That's fair. Did Invent check the music
No,
like on stream?
no, neither of you checked the.
Okay, yeah.
So it was bugging me. So it was bugging me the whole season. It's like I heard this song somewhere. Where was it? And when you say it's from from Sonic Game Gear, it's like, oh, that makes sense.
It's the Jungle Zone from Sonic the Hedgehog, composed by Yuzo Koshiro, and the MIDI sequencing was by Profness. Actually, I don't know if they're in chat, but if they are, hi Profness, and Xenocat, who I'm sure will be. I don't know if they'll come back and rewatch the race, but they'll certainly be running the seed asynchronously later.
Excellent. Well, thank you again so much, Scythe Marshall, for letting us, get to watch you race. Do you have any final thoughts on the seed, the club, or anything like that?
Uh, I don't know. The sea was fine. I enjoyed it. I hope other folks had fun too. I think it's been fun trying to run a club and go through some of the admin stuff, but I hope people have enjoyed the restreams and come out and maybe play some of the races. The points aren't really that serious, so just, come out and have fun. Next, I could give you a preview of what the next two whatchamacallit flag sets are. Let me check my notes right quick.
Ooh, sneak peek, world first.
Let me take a wild guess. Do we have to do Twin Harp?
Do we have to do Twin Harp? Well, let me tell you. Next week, non-restreamed, so this is off restream, we have the flag set I've called Sight Reading, which, well, I wonder what that is, because if you're always sight reading a randomizer seed, right? But the idea here is that we're going to give you a spoiler log, except it's not the entire spoiler log. So you get to see parts of it, and then you'll have to, as you play, figure out the rest. And realistically, that's what you do when you sight read. You look over the piece of music and you're like, okay, I think I know what's going on. And then as you play, you figure out, something might come up that you're not expecting, so you have to deal with it. So that's next week off restream. And then next 2 weeks from now on restream, the flag set will be Practice is Optional, which is actually the only flag set I've come up with for this club where you might not have to do Twin Harp. But it's probably a good idea to do Twin Harp because it involves the wacky, a bigger magnet flag. So.
Yeah, that's probably a really good idea to do Twin Harp with a bigger magnet.
Yeah, I mean, depends how you feel. If you have all mages, maybe you don't have to. And that's what I thought is the really interesting twist to this flag set, is that Twin Harp is, you're probably going to get it and it's going to help you, but do you have to? Because we know a lot of people don't like the Twin Harp check. It is time consuming, so maybe there's something to that. Anyways, I look forward to seeing how these next the next two and then into the future of flag sets play out. Other than that, I think I don't have much else to say, except thanks to Possum and Wardling for comms. I'm sure it was great. I'm sure I'll have lots to learn from listening to it. Thanks to Eng Dave for tracking, and thanks Asuka. I hope we did your bard justice.
All right. Well, thank you, Scythe Marshall. Greatly appreciate it. Always a pleasure to watch you run. And GG's again on second place. I hope you have a great night.
Yeah, take care, folks.
All right, and that was our second place finisher this evening, Scythe Marshall. Very close behind Inven, who did finish in first place. Our runners took wildly divergent paths, which is always a treat to watch. But Warlink, that is going to do it for us here with the Music Appreciation Club. But I do believe that we have more free enterprise, both where we're going tonight and also information on our next race that's going to be restreamed. So I believe that we are going to be headed over to Edge Talvaron, who is a pink puff, going to be doing a solo run of the 2v2 flags. And then our next show is going to be on Friday at 10 p.m. Eastern on Free Enterprise 2 for the community race. And just want to give one more thanks to everyone behind the scenes and to our runners. So thank you, Inven and Scythe Marshall. Thank you, Oscar behind the scenes, Dave on the tracking, and Warlink. Thank you so much for doing a great job on comms.
And thank you for being my co-commentator for my first time behind the mic, besides a front button. So as long as I didn't get yelled at about anything, I think I'll be allowed to be front of the mic in the future. So thanks for allowing me to tag around to talk about this race.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Warlink, and thank you everyone out there. No spoilers on the race as we read over to Edge Talvaron, but everyone have a great night. Stay healthy, stay blessed, and be good to each other. We'll see y'all next time.
Take care.